Hey there, welcome back to the table. So, some comments and stuff coming in, a lot of very funny ones. So thank you guys. That's what makes this actually fun is reading what you guys say afterwards. And a lot of you are very creative. I really appreciate it. Okay, so a couple of things. First off, the designer made this for me. I made it for all of us, but I'm going to just say it was for me because it was definitely a direct response to my question. Check this out. It is a combined operations chart. So for both theaters, so you don't have to go to two different charts now. And then he added which planes can use cables. So the BF-109 here can use a cable. So there's no question on who can use bombs and who can use cables. And then, of course, for the equipment at the bottom, there's only one piece of equipment that has different criteria. Everything else can be used interchangeably. And I think somebody made a comment about the ME-262s and 163s. So there might be some clarification coming on these, but I'm not worried about it because we're not using them at the moment. But isn't that awesome? And so very well done. I know what some of you are thinking because I even said it. This is what needed to be included in the game from the start. Yes. But the fact that the designer was able to put this together for us after I had complained a little bit about it, it's good customer service at least. I didn't mind printing it out. The only thing that stunk was it's so much information that the text is really small in order to get it all to fit in one page. Otherwise, I'd be printing this on 2 pages, which I was tempted to do. Maybe make it a double-sided printout so I could just flip it over to read the other half. But I like having it all on one page. It's just that it is tiny. It's a lot easier to read when I'm not looking through the camera. But anyways, I highly recommend it. It's in the files section now on BGG under Storm above the Reich. And it's definitely worth doing. It'll help you to eliminate some of your printouts. So for example, the one printout I had was actually just that operations menu. This guy right here. Just to show you how different, this text is much easier to read, as you can see, a lot bigger, right? But I don't need this anymore, and that's a really cool part about this. So we'll get rid of one of those. We'll use this from now on for both, and let's move to mission 6 here, out of 10, and one other thing I was going to say, just to recap, we're at 24 victory points out of the 30 we need not to lose, out of the 40 we need to win. And that's the halfway marker. So prior to then, we were actually in bad shape. So we just had one really good outing. It did eat up a lot of our experience points, but we're still sitting at a nice healthy amount. And let's see what happens. The biggest factor is going to be which map we get, because that map that we have here, Formation Map 6, was a really nice one. So rolling a 10 I don't think is helping. 1943 mid, a 10 gives us map 7, which is the mega map again. That's not going to be a good map, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And somebody made the comment, I'm just going to chat a little while I'm trying to get these boards off, that the vector map, while it is a little simplified, it is at least very thematic. And from what I understand of the problems and tribulations that, bombers and interception of bombing had in World War II, I would say that I generally agree. I don't think the vector map is out of place at all. So yeah, from a narrative perspective, I think it tells a really good story, and that's the part that I like about the game is you can play without the vector map. He didn't make it a mandatory part of the play. It does change. Your outcomes do change, and you do have to, you are playing a completely different game with or without the vector map. As much as the vector map has hurt me, it's also helped me because it gives me extra tactical points. It gives me extra other stuff along the way. And, you take the good with the bad when it comes to that stuff. All right, so was that enough rambling? This is a large map, and then of course you could tell that it's fresh out of the box because there's been no weights on them. And I'm trying to, well, here we'll just use our other maps to weigh it down. So while I'm doing the dice rolling and stuff, we'll at least flatten it a bit with our other maps. And now I'm trying to find our little sheet. Got to get our sheet together. Yes, I will use that again and again. Thank you for pointing that out and laughing about it. All right. Here we go. Okay, so we got a nasty map. This nasty map it's very large. The bombs actually do better because if you miss your target, the explosions will still cause cohesion issues somewhere else, and it's very rare that you're going to go off the map. But because of these larger maps, they're going to have a lot higher lethality levels, and so it's going to be dangerous to your pilots. So this is a dangerous mission. Now, another way to look at this is let's just do the vector map and get as many points as we can out of that and then just call it a day. The fact that I rolled a 10, I mean, this is rare. The only way you can even get this map is to get a 10. So it's really challenging. And in some respects, you're going to want an outbound mission because you at least get those extra OPs. Because since this is a bigger map, you need more pilots to be able to take on and damage these bombers and do the things you want to do. So sometimes having an inbound map with this large formation is not good. Now, once we get into these higher numbers here, then you're in better shape. But with these low numbers, we're in trouble. Now, remember, we're at 24 victory points. We only need 6 in 5 more missions to not lose. So currently, I just need to score an average of 1.5, right? Not even 1.5, 1 1/5. So 1.2. I need 1.2 victory points per mission. So as long as I can get 2 victory points from this mission, then I only need 1 more here and out. So I feel really good about our situation. We don't need to be aggressive, is all I'm trying to say. Okay, so 1943 mid is really challenging in the Mediterranean theater. I cannot express that enough, but let's go. All right, I rolled a 2, which is super interesting because we did get inbound. After all that speech, we got inbound. I am for sure not going to pay 7 experience just to move it to outbound. The really good news is we have no OP penalty, so I'm probably going to roll a 6 here. I only get an 8 if I roll a perfect 10, and that's hard to do. So I'm going to go ahead and roll, and there you go. I rolled a 6 to get a 6. So I got 6 OP, which will turn into 8. That's not a lot at all. Do I want to spend the 7 experience to make it 8? I'm tempted. Let's put it that way. Because it's another inbound mission. It's 2 victory points per. So if we were to even let's say we're just playing the stragglers, right? Let's say we get 3 stragglers. That's 6 victory points. That's enough to get to our 30 right now. And then we have 4 missions to score 10 more to actually get a victory or a success out of the season. You don't want to pass those opportunities up. I mean, if I can go after the stragglers on the vector map, I can get 2 points each. With 6 OP, that's hard to do because remember, we're going to have malfunctions sending us home. We're going to get intercepted sending us home. And then I also possibly am going to have stragglers, right? So I need to have extra planes to deal with that nonsense as well. Now, I am paying 7 experience just to get 2 extra pilots. But those 2 extra pilots are huge. So let me think about what I'm doing. And then the other thing we can do is we can save the experience because maybe we don't care about the escorts. Because as soon as the vector map's done, maybe we peel away and don't even do the game, right? So the escort part is not important. The good news is, I got to decide now. So I'm going to be basically paying 7 experience points for 2 OP. If I destroy 3 planes, that will give me 6 experience out of the 7 back. I'm not going to do it. And here's what I'm going to do. Ifland, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I don't know where the other one went, but there should be another cannon somewhere for 6. And then we're going to get 2 more OP after this. All right, I'm missing one of my cannons here. Here it is. Okay, so we got, that's what I'm going to do for 6. This is what I'm going to attack with. And then I get 2 more OP, right? Because we're doing the vector map rules. So for one of those 2 OP, it'll be another set of BF-110s. And then we'll grab something that maybe, if we can get enough experience, we can give him the Wily skill so he can start taking on those, so this guy is an expert. So his BV value is 3, and he could possibly take on those interceptors or whatever, but he just doesn't have a cannon, which is good. You don't want him to have a cannon because then he gets a negative number when he's taking on interceptors. That or it's either him or an Italian stallion, which the only advantage to the Italian stallion is I don't have to worry about him dying. And if this dies, yeah, I lose an OP next round, but it's not like losing your pilot. The pilot's very rarely going to get experience going up against the fighters, so that's the trade-off, right? Which one do I do? And then these 3 BF-110s are meant to be, you know, if I need to intercept them, I can intercept them as well. So that's the real question, is like, which of these do I do? I honestly don't know. Every time you put a pilot in, you're risking losing them. I know that's a very profound statement, but there is a lot of depth to that statement. You know what? I'm going to do the Italian one because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to waste one. So this might burn me, but we'll do that. They're not as good in the aerial combat, but maybe we can roll the dice well enough that we don't have to worry. So there's a 1, and what you see here is that we're actually getting Spitfires for the entire mission, and it's all of them. So Spitfires are a lot worse than the P-38s, and I'm just going to put them over here on the map. I'm not going to necessarily roll the dice or anything because I'm still at this point not convinced we're going to even try to do the mission. So now we got to get out the situation map. So map 7 inbound is page 13. Let's slide this down a bit. All right. So I rolled a 2, which means 1 guy is damaged. Way in the back. And his damage is a wing. And I didn't roll high enough, so he would have 4 wing damage on him. And currently that's underneath this, but it's this guy right here. Okay, let's roll for anchor. It's a 7, so it's flank high. And then the sun is high tail, which is interesting. That's actually a really good location. It's a very powerful location for attacking. Tactical points. I rolled an 8. That's 4. So it puts us to 6. And then the flight limit is 2, which is 6. That puts us to 8. I'm not sure I'm concerned at all, because as of right now, we're probably not going to do any mission. And then we do have contrails, which are interesting. So we can spend a TP, enter at the tail level, and skip the first escort phase. This, I know I said this before, but it's much more helpful when you get those bombers that do tail level attacks, which are like the Ju-88s, the Me-410s. Not very helpful at this point, although it is nice to come in tail level, because you can just attack right away and you're already at an excellent position. Okay, vector map. We have 6 TP, so we can maybe do some interesting things here. Obviously this part never changes for me. We'll put these 3 guys together. So what's interesting though is you do get a lower evasion if you go low. Obviously you have altitude advantage if you go high. So it's just it's a weird thing. Here you're not going to necessarily evade them, but you'll at least have the altitude advantage when you do your combat. Here you have a better chance of evading them, but you get no altitude advantage at all. And with an evade value of 8, all you have to do is roll a 6, because remember you can take and then see here, look, for a low all you need is a 6 to evade. So what I can do is I can actually do this. So if I roll an intercept, I only need is a 6 to evade with this guy. But I'm committing to having to pay a TP to move up. But I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just take this guy. He's my intercept, like a decoy, if you will. We're going to try this strategy, right? And then he's going to move up to here, and then his evade value is an 8 instead of a 9. And we're just going to try to keep evading these interceptors. And now, if we were in Germany North, I would not do that, because look at Germany North. I only get intercepted if I roll a 2 to a 4, which is going to be hard to do. But here, I get intercepted like half of the outcomes. And then up here, it's really bad. But that's at the final approach zone. So it's very interesting dynamic. Now, obviously, when you get to 44, 45, there's a lot of interception. And I believe those are the Mustangs. So there's a whole bunch of interception happening there. So yeah, you could tell that the Americans are coming in strong. But let's try that. And I'm going to roll the 2 dice. So with 13, that's a healthy number. And a 13 in the Mediterranean is a malfunction. Somebody has to go home. Now that's an interesting conundrum. Do I send him home? We don't get a straggler. We don't get an intercept. And my answer is no, I'm sending this guy home. Because that's why I have them. They have nothing attached to them. They're just, for 1 OP, I was able to get 3 pilots that I can send home. And so we're going to move everybody up now. And then I have to pay 1 TP for this one, which is something new. Oh, sorry, my dog. Okay, barking is over. Oh, don't you dare. I just hit unpause. All right, here we go. So we got a 12 this time, which I think is the same exact outcome, right? Yeah, so another one goes home. So we're getting a pretty uneventful run so far. I'm half tempted to send this guy home, actually. Yeah, actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send him home, because then I don't have to pay the TP to go to the last level. An evasion of 9 is not that much advantageous over a 7, because remember, we have contrails. So I'm going to send him home so we don't have to pay. so score, right? And here we go. We're on the last one. And we've gotten 0 stragglers and 0 interceptors. This has been a non-mission so far. And there's a 14, which we are going to get a combo platter of everything. So we are getting intercepted, we are getting a straggler, and we get a radio. So let's do the radio first. It's odd, which stuck because that means we lose a TP and we have to put a delay marker. So I will put a delay marker. Do delay markers hurt you in dogfighting? No, they don't. You know what's interesting is the bombs aren't showing up on here as counting against you. That's an interesting thing. All right, so who am I going to delay? Well, I'm thinking of delaying these BF-110s because they're the ones that are also going to get intercepted. So we're going to go ahead and just grab one of these, and that's who we're going to be intercepted with, but we got to roll, see if we can evade, and we can get up to a 7. And of course I roll a 3, which stinks. So now we see if we can get an altitude advantage, which we do, and now we got to do a full-blown combat. And I'm pretty sure we're not going to outnumber them. So it's a BF-110, which is way down here, against a Spitfire, which is way over here. And we were higher, yes, but no, so it's a second row. And yes, highest number wins. A 7 is a good number. And that puts us here. It's a breakaway. So our BF-110s go home. And so does the escort. And then last but not least is the straggler. And we did get an even, so we got 2 damage on this guy. So 1, 2. It's an engine and a rudder, so it's not an insta-kill. So who do we send? We can send Iflin, which would be a guaranteed 2 points. Or do I try to send somebody else and hope I can get some points that way? Barr at least has aim. So does Schmidt. We're going to send Barr after him, and no TP. He'll just go alone. So then everybody's going to come in low somewhere, and we're done. So now the age-old question of, am I going to take on this map? Which everything in my fiber and being should say no, but I just can't avoid a challenge. So I'm going to probably end up doing something. And by the way, the weight of these other maps did a really good job of flattening that. What do you think? I mean, that was really good. So we have cannons on our BF-110s, and we have 2 guys that could probably make a dent. So I could probably take on 1 element and maybe do something. We can come in low somewhere. We're anchored over here. So what I can do is do my usual come in low flank, and then I could go high tail, right? The first thing I want to do, besides we got to resolve this first, we need to see where these guys are. So I'm going to roll a 3. It's a heavy. 4 of them are above trailing. And 3 are forward. Now that's an interesting conundrum. One of them's missing because he already intercepted us. So I think we randomly decide. So even odd. I rolled an even, so this is the one that's missing. I should have clarified. What does even odd mean? Okay, so we're going to resolve this, see if we get the 2 points from that. These escorts are here for the entire mission. We're going to pay 1 TP to use the contours. I forgot about that. And so this is how we're going to get our 1 attack, right? Everybody's coming in tail level, and the escorts don't activate on this first turn. So we're going to get in and attack right now, even though there's escorts in high trailing, and we should be able to make some damage. And that is going to be my attempt to eke out some extra points, because it is 2 victory points per kill here. And, hopefully it'll work out. We're going to find out right now. So these are not the tan 1943. So I got to grab the B24 that is green for 1943. Again, I don't see a difference, but other than color, but we'll do it. And it has 2 rudder damage out of 3. And we have an engine damage, so let's roll for that. So nothing there. And then we have 2 TP. Okay. All right. We got the bar tab. So he will come in high, nose, 0. High, nose, 0. He takes a hit and does a hit. He can use his quick skill to switch to evade, or he could just use his luck to mitigate the hit. I'm going to use the quick skill to switch to evade, and we will get a hit without taking a hit. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. He has cannon. So here we go. Here's the hit. We have a fuselage and a wing. I think we're going to take the wing. It's not enough. And then Bar has, so we used his quick, but he also has aim. So aim lets him get another hit. So we're going to use that right now. And here we go. We got another engine or a gunner. That's actually, the gunner's good, but the engine's better. So we'll take the engine, because now a 7 or a 10 and it's over. And of course it isn't. I went evasive, so I have to pay 1 just to move to the return box. And then I'm going to pay my last TP. Oh, I was going to pay my last TP to go tail level, but we got a second engine, so 1, 2, 3. I almost forgot to add 3 more. Okay, so we're going to do tail level, and it's a 2. Tail level 2. We take a hit, which our luck will mitigate, and we do a hit. So we're out of luck. Oh, we got to roll for sun. The sun, I rolled a 1, which means there's no sun, so no change. All right, so here we go. Fuselage, and there's a 3rd engine hit. I'm going to do the 3rd engine hit, of course. That actually adds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more TP. But what we're really hoping for is we have a 4 to a 10. So unless I roll awful, and there it is. We finally killed him. That was actually a lot harder than it needed to be. But, of course, we did it. And Bar gets some nice experience to boot. All right, so Bar is up to 4 experience. And then the staff gets 2. And we scored 2 victory points. Okay. So now, by scoring 2, we've actually met what we need to do to not lose. So if I can just eke out a few more victory points here, this is good. So, as I said, we spent the TP to force the escorts to skip a turn. We're on mission turn 1, which just means we enter the map. I mean, that's all it does, is we enter the map at tail level. The escorts don't do anything, but now we go to mission turn 2. We do have 1 check. I need to roll a 1 in order for it to matter, and it doesn't. And somebody asked in the comments, are the cohesion rules really different in Storm Above the Reich? And the answer is yes. If you're on a Storm Above the Reich map, the B-24s fail cohesion checks if you equal the number of counters. In Skies Above the Reich, they only fail it if you roll less than a number of counters. So the chances of them losing cohesion is a little higher. And the designer explained that the B-24s were harder to fly. Okay, so now it's our turn. And what we could do is we could all attack level. But see, this thing here is the problem. The box with the most fighters, if I roll that, I'm done. But remember, we made the mistake of going tail high before, and that's a problem too. You know, I'm not sure I'm concerned, because if a fighter did intercept all of those guys, let them. We're going to outnumber them, and we're not going to have higher altitude, but we'll at least outnumber them and have that advantage. One thing I forgot to do is at the end of the last turn, I'm going to reduce the flight limit and add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 TP. And yes, we're all going to attack tail level. I'm too lazy to reach across the table to grab it. And this is really the big roll. So as long as I don't get a 6 to a 10, I'm okay. And of course I get a 6. So we're getting intercepted by this guy, and all of our plans are ruined. So this map is a bust. Remember, there's no outcome that we can get that's going to put us back on the map. So let's bring everybody by. We all have cannons, so our die roll gets reduced by 1. I'm pretty sure they do. And Ifland here is our FW190, so he'll be the one that allows us to roll the FW190 box. And I'm already starting the process of putting everything away. Now, one thing I could have done is I could have put Schmidt and Ifland on their own at the high tail box, so they would have the sun. Send these guys in for a nose attack, or a tail attack, I mean. And then if I would have rolled the 6 to 10, they would have gone after this. If I would have rolled the 3, they would have gone after this. Or, you know, but at very minimum, they're not going to be able to go after both. And you could argue that that would have been a smarter move. There's a part of me that's just sort of like, screw it. I mean, let's go all in, right? It was a high risk, high reward thing. That if I would have not rolled a 6 to 10, I would have gotten to attack with everybody instead of just a small portion. That was my thought process. I really went gamble mode. And the reason I'm gambling is because I had already decided at the beginning that I didn't care if I did this map. So I figured, you know, if I am going to do this map, I want it to be high reward. Okay. So with that said, this is a 6. And it still outnumbers me. Oh my gosh, these guys are jerks. Here we go. Let's move these out of the way. They still outnumber me. Oh my gosh. So we do FW190, and we have a no and a no. So we're going to do the bare bottom here. And anything that's 5 or less is awful for us. Actually, we're going to be okay. The dogfight's okay. Because dogfights are treated like breakouts. And we have plenty of BV value to overcome 6. So, yeah, I'm not worried about the dogfight. We just don't want to roll a 1. Then somebody dies. Although we could just pick a BF110 for that. And just to verify, the cannons do reduce our roll by 1. And this is something I've been forgetting to do. So thank you to those of you who keep pointing that out. And I want to point out that bombs are not on here. So that's a mistake I would have made. And then these Sturm 190s are a thing. If you play with that optional rule, they come with cannon and armor automatically equipped. And to be quite honest, this Sturm 190 rule is phenomenal. I highly recommend that you try to do it. I think at the beginning of the game I was like, I don't know. I'm of the opinion now that you should. Okay, so anyways, let's roll. I rolled a 3, which gets reduced to a 2, but a 2 is still just a dogfight outcome. And a dogfight outcome, don't pay attention to this down here. You have to use BV value, which is 6. I had Ifland. I mean, just the 3 BF110s alone are 246. So you just had to cause enough BV value to overcome the Spitfires. Otherwise, the Spitfires would attack another group, which there wasn't another group. So that's the other reason you don't need to worry, right? Oh, no. I apologize. Dogfight is this. We're not on the vector map anymore. My apologies. I was giving you the vector map rules. So for dogfight, fighters and 1 escort marker dogfights. That means we stick around for another round. So fine. I mean, we're already at the bottom row, so it's not like it changes. And there it is. I rolled a 10, which would have been a kill, but we have to reduce it to a 9. So it's just a breakout. So either way, the mission's over. Everybody goes home. And the map's over. So this was still 35 minutes. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome. We're just going to roll right into the next mission.